What's up, ScoonTv family? This is the weekly live stream.
You will not be able to stay home, brother. You will not be able to plug
If you
in,
call
turn
yourself
on,
a
and pop out.
revolutionary, I guess it's
You will not be
RIP
able to lose yourself on
to
Skag and
H.
skip out for beer during commercials because
Rap,
the revolution will not be televised.
passed away
The revolution
2
will not
days
be
ago.
televised. The revolution will not be brought to you by Xerox in 4 parts without commercial
I'm gonna
interruptions.
send out some tweets. What's up, Peter? How you doing, bro?
Nixon blowing a bugle and leading a charge
Man,
by
I'm
John
dragging
Mitchell
today.
to
Cojones, what's
Spyro
up?
Agnew to eat
Between
Holocaust
family,
confiscated
work.
from the Harlem Sanctuary. The
Oh, it's
revolution will not
busy.
be televised.
Busy.
The revolution
Y'all
will
ready
not
for
be
the
brought to you by the
holidays?
Schaefer Award Theater and will not star Natalie Woods and Steve McQueen or Bullwinkle and Julia.
Yeah, I got Gil Scott Heron playing.
The revolution will not give your mouth sex appeal. The revolution will
A-Trot
not give
Brown
you the
passed
nub.
away.
The revolution will not make you look 5 pounds thinner because the
He's got a
revolution
crazy
will not be
story.
televised, brother. There will be no pictures of you and Willie
I
Ray
actually
pushing
don't
that
believe he
shopping
shot
cart
those
down the block on
sheriff
the dead run
deputies.
or trying to slide that color TV into a
Oh, I
small
think you know
ambulance.
who did it.
NBC will not be able to predict the
You
winner
know,
at
it's almost
8:32
like
in the courtroom 29
Mumia
district.
Abu
The
Jamal.
revolution will not be televised.
You ready to get it over with? I hear that.
Brothers on the instant replay. There will be no pictures of pigs shooting down brothers on the instant replay. There will be no pictures of Whitney Young being run out of
I'm gonna
power
wait for some more people to come on in there. I got all the nerves.
Still life of Roy Wilkins strolling through Watts in a red, black, and green liberation jumpsuit that he has been saving for just the proper occasion.
Hey, what's up, George?
Green Acres, Beverly Hillbillies.
Man, George, I was looking into D. Wayne
And women will not care if Dick finally got down
in
with Jane
Detroit.
tomorrow because black people will be in the street looking for
I gotta be
right.
careful.
The revolution will not be televised. There will be no highlights on the 11 o'clock news and no pictures of Harry
I got an attorney, though.
and Jackie Onassis blowing her nose. The theme song will not be written by Jim Webb or Francis Scott Key, nor sung by Glenn Campbell, Tom Jones, Johnny Cash, Engelbert Humperdinck, or The Rare Earth. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be right back after a message about a white tornado, white lightning, or white people. You will not have to worry about a dove in your bedroom, the tiger in your tank, or the giant in your toilet bowl. The revolution will not go better with coke. The revolution will not fight germs that may cause bad breath. The revolution will put you in the driver's seat. The revolution will not be televised, will not be televised, will not be televised, will not be televised. The revolution will be no rerun, brothers. The revolution will be live.
Yeah, I did see Curtis Malone on there. What's up, news? Well, the notifications just went up. Yeah, I didn't watch it, you know. Kurt's my boy, but let me say, when you know the real story, it's tough to watch a movie or read a book because you know the things that's edited out. You know, I wish Kurt the best. I bought a couple of his books, and I'm glad to see him back. You know, because basketball is really what he knew. He knew basketball before the streets. The Most High Gully TV, I hear that. Yeah, he knew basketball before he knew the streets. He went to Parkdale High School, and in fact, the pastor that introduced me to mental health was Curtis Malone's teammate at Parkdale High School. Yeah. I knew his dad. I met his mom. I can't say I knew her, but I met his mom a long time ago. I hired his daughter. I looked out for his dad when he was away. Yep, Curtis was at my wedding. So I'm actually trying to see if I could get him on the Mason Cameron podcast. Hey, Donita, what's up, William? Yeah, Rich, peace. Yeah, I'm actually trying to see if I can get him on that. I'm working my angles. because he's trying to turn that book into a movie. That's usually how it goes. He may need to do one extra step, because outside of the sports world, the basketball world, I don't know if his name resonates like that. But he got a great story, you know. I met him down in Hampton. And actually, it was Curtis Malone that introduced me to Washington, D.C. He told me that Matt had flew him out there. I was surprised that it hasn't done bigger numbers. I think it's somewhere around 15,000 right now. Yeah. The verdict, the jury is out on whether AAU is good for basketball or not. I do know that because my business partner, he has a son that plays. He plays with Curtis' new team. I forgot what they're called, the Washington something. And it's hard getting in basketball now. You know, back in the day, you play on the blacktop or whatever in the parks, and you could get discovered. Now it's like a middle class type of thing, where these kids' families have to have money for them to go to these camps and play these games away from home. There's a lot of traveling involved. I mean, that's how Curtis actually started mixing the two worlds, because to get the top talents, you had to pay for a lot of things. These kids come with nothing. It's no different than, it's funny when you look at the dynamics of how things work within the black community, right? Everybody understands that to get our allegiance, they have to address our economic disadvantages. And sometimes it goes beyond that. It turns into greed and grift and graft and a whole lot of other things. But in the middle of that jambalaya, sometimes some people turn their life around, you know? Yeah, I gotta tap in with Curtis, man, and see what's happening with the thing. He told me DJ Vlad turned him down. I'm not sure that's the audience he want anyway. He need to stick to stuff like Matt Barnes. Sports podcasts, I think, is where he need to go. Because we ain't selling the streets, you know? Yeah. Oh, what? Charleston White shouted me out on an interview today. I mean, I like Charleston. If I'm being 100%, I think Charleston, he sees something in me. He realized that I'm not one of the grifters. After I did his show, he called me the next morning and he told me, he said, man, I kept turning around and looking at you. He said, and I never do that when I interview people. He said, and I knew what he meant. Like, I don't do any of this shit trying to to grift and get money. That's why when they be saying grifter and all that on Twitter, I don't even think they really understand what the word means, you know. Jason Whitlock is a grifter. Most of these public pundits are grifters. And they're grifters in my eye because their worldview, their perspectives are definitely shaped and influenced by whoever's paying them. And mine is not, because nobody's paying me. And even if they did, the best they could get out of me is that I probably won't go at them directly. But they're not going to change my worldview, you know? Yeah. And because I wouldn't take money from somebody and attack them. If I know I'm going to attack somebody, I just won't take money from them. I do have some kinds of principles, you know. I'm not going to disagree. I mean, I'm not going to agree with everything anybody does. But you got to be selective in who you attack, you know. Yes, sir, William. What we got? What's your thoughts on the Chicago mother being jumped? Yeah, what was her name? Quanisha or something like that had her. I looked at her son. This sounds kind of harsh, but that boy's a little too soft to be growing up in Chicago. I don't care. He's only 9 years old. I'd have been rumbling like shit. They was out there jumping me and my mom. He was holding on to his mother like he needs something. And I ain't putting it on him. Those kids were despicable, all of that. But it really just stood out to me like, yo, how's this kid gonna make it in the world? He's coming up in a very hostile environment. His mother ain't gonna be there to take them punches and kicks for him all the time. And if there's anything that should have brought out any aggression that he had in him, it was watching his mother get jumped. And I didn't like what I saw, at least not from him. I kind of already know what kind of man he's gonna be. But as far as those kids, I think they all need to get arrested. Not necessarily locked up, but they need, when I say need to get arrested, I'm not saying they need to be punished. They need to be confronted with the consequences of that type of activity. Those were elementary school students. They were 7 to 10 years old. Some of them look kind of big. I thought the woman was pregnant in the footage I saw, but apparently she has sickle cell or something, and it causes her stomach to bulge. The reason why they need to be arrested is because, you know, when you commit gang attacks, like I didn't realize it even when I was young, because, you know, when you've grown up in the hood, jumping people, getting jumped, all that just seems to be so normal. But it's very, very easy to kill somebody like that. But nobody thinks about that, you know? It's because you've seen the people before you do it, and nobody ever really gets hurt. Somebody gets banged up and you laugh and talk about it. But man, people die like that. And I think those kids need to be taught at a very early age that there's serious consequences to activity like that. The more they get away with it, the more it's going to escalate. Who is this Chad Jackson guy talking with Whitlock about Dr. King? I don't know who he is. He's out of Dallas. I reached out to him. I sent him my Boule docs. But we'll see what happens. You know, Whitlock, I think a lot of people are mad at Chad because he's saying certain things about Dr. King. I mean, clearly Dr. King was a controlled asset. Clearly he was selected to do what he did. Now, it's debatable whether he tried to pivot at the end and that's why he got killed. Or in my opinion, I think he just realized that his usefulness was over and he didn't want to leave quietly into the night. That's how I look at it, you know. He needed a little help out the door and they gave it to him. And I'm not even trying to be funny, you know. You know, you lay down with dogs, you come up with fleas, man. All of these guys, I don't care who it is, Malcolm, Martin, it doesn't matter to me. Those men were too smart not to know what they were flirting with, you know. So they took a chance. I think MLK, I think he realized how he got used. Because once the mission was accomplished, that's why he made that speech about he integrated his people into a burning house. Yeah, he just didn't understand that he was going to be in the house with them. Maybe he thought he was going to be somewhere else. Hey, Aziz, what's up, brother? Justo, what's up? They need the numbers to justify why anyone would want to partner with them. You think I could become the mayor of DC pretty easily? Nah, I don't think so. I think DC is almost ready for a white mayor. Almost. It seems like Muriel backed down after that threat with the investigation about Qatar flying her and her staff over to their country or something. First that comes out that she's being investigated. Now she's saying she's not running for a fourth term. It looked like they made her an offer she couldn't refuse. Oh, wow. Oh, he talked about it. I'm reading Cajone's thing here. I did connect Charleston to Judge Joe Brown. And Charleston was using the N-word a lot. And Judge Joe Brown, one of them old educated black folks, he doesn't say the N-word at all. You know what I mean? And Charleston didn't like the judge telling him not to use it, and Charleston went off on the judge and hung up on him. Yeah. I wasn't on the phone when they did it. His assistant, Dr. O, she connected them because, and she was so embarrassed. But I think Charleston apologized to the judge. But later on, Charleston was trying to set up a celebrity boxing match with T.I. And I was going to help him set it up through Triller, which is owned by Ryan Kavanaugh. But after how he acted with Judge Joe Brown, I wasn't going to let Charleston talk to any more of my people. Steve Kim works with Ryan Kavanaugh. If you don't know Ryan Kavanaugh, he started off with the Beastie Boys. He fucked up like over almost $1 billion in Hollywood. And he still got another shot and got more money to start Triller. And I think Triller did Versus and all that stuff. I'm not 100% sure on that. But I told Charleston, I said, Charleston, this is what I need you to do. I need you to get yourself a nice Jewish lawyer. And I'll introduce your Jewish lawyer to the necessary parties at Triller. Because I got burnt one time already with Charleston. You know what I mean? He's an interesting guy, man. He's very, very smart. But he's prone to mood swings, I'll say that. Yeah. It's all a numbers game. They need the numbers to justify why anyone would want to partner with them. Well, Justo, what's up? You don't think the beef between Stephen A. Smith and Whitlock is organic? It seems performative. Whitlock went on Sage Steele, who follows me, by the way, and he went off on Stephen. I don't know if they plotted to do this, but I think at this point, they both know the game. Whitlock needs it more than Steve A. Smith does, okay? This is Whitlock's game, man. He's limited in who he can criticize. He can only criticize black people He goes light even on white liberals. He is there to attack black people. That's his safe space. And so he brings it up. And Stephen A is a guy who talks all day, every day for a living. So you got to spice it up sometime. It's almost as if, man, it's a symbiotic type of arrangement. Not necessarily planned, but both of them are playing the same game. And they will recognize that type of opportunity for what it is and seize the moment, for sure. Whitlock wants nothing more than a beef with Stephen A, because Stephen A is exactly where Whitlock would like to be. And the fact that they go back and forth with each other almost makes it seem like Whitlock is more relevant than he actually is. Now, Stephen A on the other side, he runs out of things to talk about, man. He got a lot of eyes on him, but what is he really talking about? So if Whitlock speaks on him, punching down on Whitlock works, because nobody really likes Whitlock, nobody black. You know, when Whitlock and I was doing politicking, black people started liking Whitlock. They started giving him a chance. You know, and he said he was going to come on the live stream today. He goes by, he got a anonymous account, Wise Mind or something like that. And we were going back and forth on Twitter. I started tagging him at his real account and tagging Glenn Beck, because I knew that would get him to stop. That was the proof confirmation I needed, because he didn't respond to any of those. You know what I'm saying? Like he didn't want nothing to show up on his boss's timeline. It's so easy to figure these guys out. But like Whitlock's at the bottom of the barrel, man. He's 50-something years old. All of this podcasting shit is saturated. He's out the loop, and he's going to need all kinds of controversies to stay relevant. Yeah, you know. But in any event, he said, homie gave me my flowers. Well, that's cool, man. I don't know about it. That's enough of that or whatever. I don't know. Where was I supposed to stop? I give him his props, you know. He spoke on Judge Joe Brown. I never brought it up, you know. He brought it up, and it's true. But, yeah, Whitlock, man, he got nothing going on, man. He's done. They may not even renew his contract, and then what is he going to do? Really? Think about it. What is he going to do? He burned all his bridges in the black community. I'm sorry to be harsh, but she seemed to be slow. And those kids will not turn cojones. You're talking about the lady in Chicago. I think there might be something to it. Yeah, I do. I do know the little boy was dressed pretty nice, though. He certainly was. If Mamdani can become mayor and AOC can be in Congress, becoming mayor of DC is feasible. Oh, there he goes, the wise mind. There you go. I think they just need to have a sit down with each other. It would be interesting to see. You mean like you'll sit down with Roland Martin, Jason? How did that go? According to Roland Martin, you ran out in the street. You had stage fright. They had to bring you back in there. Oh, it's on Terrence Gangster Williams' podcast. Okay. And he admitted it word for word. Glasgow, what's up? Part of Whitlock's salary belongs to Dion and Stephen A. Absolutely. Because they got big names right now. So you got to talk about them. He doesn't mind. He does not mind being the heel. That's who he is. These folks causing issues or talking out of pocket on X or from other countries. I think it's been revealed to be that, yeah. Schoon generally thinks I'm Whitlock. Yeah, you care too much about him, man. You didn't respond to anything I tagged Glenn Beck in, wise mind. You ain't as wise as you think you are, Jason. You're fit and way better looking. That's something Whitlock would say. So James Comey and Letitia James both had cases. Letitia too? I knew about James Comey. They said, is it all because of the same thing that the prosecutor wasn't properly appointed? You know, I'm going to tell you, Peter, I'm to the point that I don't take anything that's being discussed in front of the camera on face value. I don't know what's happening. It seems like the seeds of confusion and chaos and distrust are being sown. And it's looking like we can't get anybody to tell us what's happening. Like Trump flip-flops like a flapjack, man. Like one day he's saying this, the next day he's saying that. There's peace in Ukraine, a peace deal. Then they're sending them more missiles. It's just, I don't know what to believe, man. All of it just seems like a bunch of nonsense. Even this war in Venezuela, I'm not paying attention to any of it. What's up, Chris Malcolm? Yeah, I'm not paying attention to any of it until something starts happening. We've been on the precipice of war with everybody. There's war going on in the Strait of Taiwan, and there's war with Iran, and there's war with Russia, and they're talking about China, and it's Venezuela, and nothing ever happens. Nothing major anyway. I mean, Trump went from bashing China and China. He called COVID Kung Flu and all that, and now he comes out and says we need about 600,000 Chinese students to keep our university system afloat. You can't pay attention to what he's talking about. Word on the street, Cash Patel might be getting the boot. I mean, Pam Bondi might be right behind him. And Pete Hegseth too. Those three don't look like they belong. They just don't. I wouldn't be surprised if Scott Bessent doesn't last. You know, and I'm not saying that anybody who replaces them is going to be better. I just think we're going to need better actors. Because some of these people aren't very convincing. Stephen Miller looks like he's on shaky ground. Comey was wearing the exact same outfit in his response to the dismissal that he wore in the response to the original indictment months apart. Seems as if the videos were made in the same sitting. Something's up, more psyops. News, I don't trust any of it. I don't trust any of it. Patel was disappointing. I don't trust any of it. But man, you know, I was playing that the revolution won't be televised when I started, and it's because H. Rap Brown passed away a few days ago. And H.Rap Brown, he has an interesting story from his days with Snick from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And he, got caught up in the civil rights movement and all that. Went to New York and got convicted for armed robbery and did 5 years and became a Muslim in Attica. Then went to Atlanta and took over down there, organized, and had a group of Muslims that were pretty militant. They were suspected of intimidating drug dealers, extorting them, whatever. The story with his incarceration, where he was pulled over a few days previously, and he had a fake badge or something, and there was a warrant issued for him that he didn't show up in court, and then they went to his house to execute the warrant, and someone came at them, killed one of the cops, and I think almost killed the other one, the sheriff deputy. The survivors said that the assailant was shot. H.Rap Brown gets caught in Alabama. He has the weapons that were used in the crime, a rifle, a .223, and a 9mm, but he's not shot anywhere. Blood was found at the scene, but it wasn't his blood. Later on, another man confessed to it being him, and nobody wanted to hear that. They convicted H.Rap. Very interesting, but he was 82 when he died. He died at Butner, because there's a federal medical facility there in Butner. That's where Bernie Madoff was, Carmine Persico. A lot of these really elderly, notorious criminals end up in Butner. War isn't about missiles, tanks, and ships anymore. The attacks are economic. Yeah, well, Japan is going through something major right now. Their bond market is they have to print more yen to buy more of their debt. The central bank is, and things are getting kind of rough over there, And Japan is the number one holder of U.S. debt. And all of these markets are connected. It's really, really looking like we're heading for a crash of proportions we haven't seen before. Bigger than 1929, definitely bigger than 2008. And what's going to happen is there's going to be a bail-in this time. I was looking at the national debt clock today, and it said 38 trillion, 300 billion and counting. And the interest on that is over $1 trillion every year. That's not good. And I think it's being done deliberately, by the way. I think it's going to pave the way for that central bank digital currency. But the bail-in is a result of the Dodd-Frank Act, Section 206. And it's legal. I think they can take up to 40% of your money. The FDIC only has enough money to cover 1.2% of deposits. See, that's what's going to cause the run on the banks. And I believe that's why we got troops in the cities. I think that's going to happen next year. Definitely by 2027. But I'm leaning towards next year. And a bail-in is possible because technically people who deposit their money in the banks are unsecured creditors to the bank. That's why the bank pays you interest on the money. You're loaning the bank the money for them to do business with. In theory, anyway. Oh yeah, I saw the protests in Dearborn. Um, I saw a white guy. I saw a clip on YouTube, and there was a white guy who was dragging those Muslims in Dearborn. I think that's District 12 in Michigan. Rashida Tlaib is the congressperson, the representative for over there. The harder times get Glasgow, the less tolerant all people are going to be. And the more xenophobic they're going to become. And I think a lot of people who aren't American, who clearly aren't American, whether it be from their name or from their accents, they're going to be profiled. Well, it's happening already. How many Latinos who are American citizens have been, picked up by ICE? Yeah. The NVIDIA guy said he saved the market for now, Darnita. For now. They said that NVIDIA and 6 other companies make up for 32% of the entire stock market's value. That's a lot. Yep. Hey, that's right. Dina B. Planned chaos. That's exactly what's going on. Have I thought about it? Man, I can't stop thinking about it, Peter. You got physical gold, you got physical silver, you better have some physical lead, you need to have some cash. At the end of the day, right, if it lasts long enough, most people are done. But I'm hoping that the plan is that you only got to manage the first 2 weeks. I can't see the powers that be allowing things to be out of control longer than a week. If you can make it to 2 weeks, you should be good, because by then they'll start implementing new systems to pick up the slack. Because I think it's all a controlled demolition. But yeah, I think about all of that stuff. That's why I've been so busy working. Like, for instance, in my field, right, I'm in mental health. But the funding for mental health services are becoming more and more specified. In other words, it can't be this vague place where I don't feel good, I'm depressed. No, it's got to be, man, you got to be dealing with substance use disorder, you got to have autism, or you got to be a kid. Those, to me, are the top 3 for where funding will not get cut. Everywhere else, the amount of billable hours are being dramatically reduced. So I had a meeting today with someone to build out my SUD program, because I haven't really been doing anything with the SUD program. I haven't been doing anything with the SUD program because it's a lot of work, and I'm doing a lot of things. I'm just one person, but now I got to dig deeper. I had a SUD program, and SUD stands for substance use disorder. I have a SUD program because it qualified me for this thing called HRSA. HRSA, it's a federal program where when you hire people, they can get up to $75,000 of their student loans, forgiven. So that makes me very, very competitive when I'm seeking out high-level employees. So I don't have to pay them as much because they get their student loans forgiven. It put me in a position where I could compete with bigger agencies that could afford to pay more money, So that was the reason why I had SUD. Just recently, Peter, you're in DC. Over at DBH, they shut down Well, they froze the money of 2 agencies. Now, listen to this now. 2 agencies that had billed about $21 million this year in SUD. And the largest CSA SUD population is 423 SUD patients, consumers. Technically, most people with mental health issues have some kind of substance use disorder, especially nowadays with this marijuana and the decriminalization. There's the Percocets and the Oxycontin, and it's easy to do that, right? The problem with drug addicts, for the lack of a better word, is they're unreliable. They won't show up. So you can bill for them, but they're not consistent unless they're getting something out of it. So the core service agency with the largest SUD population had about 423 SUD patients, and they were able to bill $200,000 a week. Now, one of the agencies that they shut down, that they froze their money, had an unprecedented 2,500 SUD patients. And DBH, they said that's impossible, because they understand the psychology of a SUD population. That level of participation is unheard of. So this individual was billing over $1 million a week. And this individual had a core service agency at one time. And he had done about $27 million back then. Do you know he had reached out to me earlier this year to collaborate with me on his work with SUD? Because I have a SUD assessment center, and there's a moratorium on SUD from DBH right now. You can't even fill out an application and get into SUD right now because there's a moratorium. So he found somebody to partner with him, because I plainly told him I wasn't interested. And I also told him that I'm careful with who I stand next to. You know, pretty much letting them know, like, I know who you are, I know what you're about, and you're knocking on the wrong door. I don't know what you've been told, but whatever you've been told, it's wrong. So boom, that was that. And here he is now. Millions of dollars. Now you got to ask yourself, right? See, this is why Trump isn't all the way wrong, right? The thing is, man, people don't really understand how the game goes, and healthcare is pretty much like academia and like the military-industrial complex. They overcharge because the government is going to pay the bill and pass the cost on to the taxpayer. That's healthcare, academia, and the military. When you hear that the United States military has a bigger budget than the succeeding 10 countries, Russia, China, everybody combined, it's not that we have the best military equipment, although we may have it. It just means that we're paying the most for it, because there's so much graft in America. When you hear about Halliburton and Blackwater and get the $300 million a day going to Iraq and Afghanistan for 20 years, they didn't need that much money to fight those wars. So anyway, back to mental health. This is what goes on. People are stealing. I believe, because I tried to figure out how it happened, I believe that the individual in question probably got people who weren't even drug users at all to sign up for SUD services. And he billed for them. And all he had to do was provide dirty urine for them to justify their presence in them. It's in their chart. So-and-so tested positive for, antidepressants, this, that, marijuana, fentanyl. Yeah. If you running a racket, that's how easy it is to run a racket. But there you have it. What's the deal with the education degrees reclassification? I think I'm not 100% clear on it. It looks like they're talking about graduate degrees, and lawyers are considered professional. Medical doctors on the nursing side, that's not considered professional. It's kind of it makes a little sense to me, right? This is what I think, Darnita. I think that if people really want a career, right, there's options available today that weren't available 30 years ago, 40 years ago. Those online courses are cheap. With nursing, there's so many different levels of nursing, right? I've always known that RNs were like the top, and that they got all these different subsets of it, whatever. And I don't think it requires going to school for a lengthy period of time or whatever. But I think there's ways to get the education. People are going to have to sacrifice and just pay for it. I know it's not going to cost $40,000 a year or anything like that. It might cost them $8,000 or $10,000. But you know, if they tighten their belts up, they could do it. And that may sound callous, right? Like, yo, how could you say something like that? I can tell you right now, all the schools were doing were getting people in the door, getting them student loans. So, and they were overcharging for the education, number one, because they could get the loans. But who got stuck were the students. How you leave school owing $100,000 or more, but your degree can't get you a job paying more than $50,000, $55,000? How you gonna pay for that when you're living in one of these expensive cities where the cost of living is high? You know, I was amazed when I found out that Barack Obama and Michelle still had student loans when they got to the White House. So it makes me wonder, like most people might have their student loans well into retirement. That's because they're being overcharged for their education. And the reason why they're being overcharged is because the schools know they can connect you with the federal government and get the money. Trust and believe, man. What's going to happen now is the cost of education is going to drop. And a lot of schools are going to close. And they're going to close because they're not competitive. They don't have what people want. And the best of the best are going to survive. And man, this ain't the 70s, so I don't know about blue collar work. I don't know what's going to happen. I just know that people got to get serious about life. Serious about where they spend their money. Serious about where they spend their time, how they spend their time. Playtime is over, man. You know, they said like 20 is the new 30 and 30 is the new 40, and no. It's going back to 20 is 20. And you ain't got that much time. So you can't run around out here being, a kid. This perpetual adolescence is over. It is over, man. People going to have to rush into adulthood. Because to me, being an adult has nothing to do with, your chronological age. It has a lot to do with your penchant for being responsible. See, somebody can be a real adult at 18 if they're very responsible with their choices and their actions. When I think of somebody who's juvenile or adolescent, I think of people who are irresponsible with their choices and actions. And that could apply to somebody who's 40, 50 years old. They just juvenile. They immature. Playtime is over, though. Those professional degrees are the fields that usually carry the highest amount of student debt. Well, and on another note, I think the government's going broke. I think the government's going broke, so they're going to find any excuse to turn that faucet off. My doctor said maybe he could try to get me one from Mexico cheaper. Oh man, yeah, the drugs are definitely, everything's overpriced in America. I told you guys before, there was a AIDS clinic right near my office about 10 years ago, 12 years ago. And there's so many, there was a drug, I don't know what it's called. It was an AIDS drug, and it cost $1,000 a pill. And you needed to take a pill every day to stay alive. And in my, I'm just like, I'm like, yo, how they can afford this? Because the government was paying the pharmaceutical companies $365,000 for a year's supply to keep somebody alive. And I'm not saying they deserve to be dead. Don't misinterpret what I'm saying. But they was willing to pay the pharmaceutical company $365,000 to keep somebody alive they wouldn't lend $5,000 to. See? It's all a racket. Okay. Chris Malcolm says, I'm an academic advisor, and there are self-paced institutions that you can take college course credit for $99 a month. Damn. See, I don't know nothing about that. But if you really want to get an education, there you go. You can work your job, $99 a month, and you can get it and get your weight up. But what's happening is just a lot of abuse, and it's been encouraged. They're going to school, and everybody, how you go to school and your standard of living upgrades from when you was living at home with your parents. Now you got your own place off campus in a gated community, and you're paying for it with student loans. I don't feel sorry for them, man. All you have to do is meet the residency requirement for your major and bachelor's degree, which is usually 30 credits. Boom. There it is from an academic advisor. People are just going to have to be smarter. Immediately they act like somebody's taking something from them. Peace, Dr. Anwar, what's going on? Someone has to stop the runaway cost of higher education. For sure. It's a system, big business. The U.S. may need more than oil from Venezuela. Look, man. Shit. Big bank take little bank, but I know Russia and China are down there. I can't imagine what's going to happen. I'm willing to bet nothing. They're saying that something's going to happen this weekend. I can't see it. I'm really starting to think that Trump just be bluffing. I think he's bluffing, man. I think he's a showman. I think deep down inside he knows that we're so close to a collapse that all we need is a war. And unless we get a swift victory and plunder the country that we fought, it'll break us. That's what it looks like to me. It looks like it would break us. The shutdown got him caught. Oh man, I don't, maybe so, Dina, maybe so, yeah, maybe the shutdown thing. I know exactly who you talk about, the guy with the Sun program. Yo, man, I don't even know how these people are so brazen to steal like that. Maybe they never spent any time in a jail cell. I mean, it's not a nice place, You talking about a 6x9 with a roommate and a toilet? Think about that. Imagine sleeping in a cell with another man and you're hearing his snoring and his farts all night. Are you kidding me? Or when he moves his bowels, you got to smell it. Man, you got to be kidding me. It's so bad, right? That in a lot of these newer jails, they don't even turn the lights off in the cell. You literally got to tie a blindfold around your eyes and make a dog to go to sleep with the pillowcase. Insane. The scam is college is not the education, but the lack of career directions that students come in with. Oh yeah, you know what you're talking about, Chris. Oh man, your parents should be assisting you from high school to identify what it takes to get your career path going. Yeah, but you know what, man? I don't mean no harm, but stupid is as stupid does. The parents are clueless and so are the kids. The parents think just because the kids are going to college, which is something a lot of these parents didn't do, that is progress. And they don't understand how the kids are just cannon fodder for, predatory lenders. Fannie Mae. Is it Fannie Mae? The more we stayed away from natural order, straight away from natural order and design, the further society drowns. Yeah. In man-made lust. Having your children run on grass without shoes is even frowned upon. Where are we going? Yeah, I saw Jimmy Cliff passed. I did. Somebody posted it online. Yeah, I saw that. I didn't even know he was still alive, Peter. Trump and that mayor of New York are more alike than different. Seemed like a bromance when they met. It's Trump. That's all I can say. Trump will be saying good things about him today. Next week he'll be talking trash about him. I don't listen to anything Trump says anymore. Nothing. Mamdani, I believe, I figured out not early, but eventually, that he was who the elites wanted in the first place. And I think Eric Adams deliberately did not campaign. He left the race as instructed, as planned. Cuomo was never meant to win. Believe it or not, I think in a straight up race, I think Eric Adams could have beat Mamdani. I do. But they had to get Adams out the race because the black people who would have voted for Adams would either not vote or vote for Mamdani rather than vote for Cuomo. Cuomo's a pariah. He's seen as a rich, snot-nosed, privileged white man. And he really is, though. And that case against those women, he's putting his tongue in women's mouth, groping them, all of them working for him. Like, what woman was going to vote for him in New York City? Are you kidding me? They knew that guy couldn't have won. He got sent to lose, and he played his part. Trump likes to stand there like, Trump by far is the biggest grifter. Oh, man. Yo, listen, I don't know what's going on with it. I get scared with all the money they're taking from everybody. Trump is an undercover socialist. Well, listen, my thoughts on socialism and communism is that it is a concentration of wealth. It takes a lot of the money out of the people's hand and put it in the hands of a very few. And for the people, they feel like that's wealth distribution, because everybody that they know and have access to is on the same level as them. So they don't feel like they're doing too bad. You know, what makes people feel bad is when somebody they grew up with and thought they were on equal footing with takes off. And it's like, damn, why couldn't that happen to me? But if everybody has nothing, then you have an egalitarian system. In Russia at one time, I think there was like maybe 10 to 12 oligarchs that had 75% of the wealth of the country. That's a hell of a concentration of wealth. I mean, Russia doesn't have as much money or people as America, but still, it's the largest landmass country in the world, has about 13 time zones, has lots of natural resources, and about 12 people had 75% of it. Think about that. Why do they want Mamdani? Because Mamdani's going to usher in that example of that technocracy that they're looking for. That he's going to utilize all the technology to implement what he's calling socialist plans. Yeah, I think that's what they're going to do. It's called socialism, but it's really totalitarianism, and it couldn't be possible without the help of all that technology from all those people that Trump surrounds himself with. You know, yeah, for sure. That's what I think. Imagine if New York, the proverbial heart of capitalism, imagine if New York City becomes a 15-minute city, or Mamdani implements certain socialist policies and the residents are happy and they like it. As New York goes, it'll be easier to sell it elsewhere. That's the job. They're going to turn the whole country into some kind of, what they call them, the 15-minute cities and all this different nonsense. Yeah, and everybody's going to go green and they're going to reduce their carbon footprint and all of that nonsense. Elon Tesla built tiny homes. I saw that. Elon built Tesla tiny homes. Yeah, I saw that. That's right, Darnita. They need a test run of UBI, and the Democrats need a new leader. What role will the state government of New York play? The mayor can only do so much. I really think everybody's on board. The Democrats, Republican. I think all this contention is contrived. I do. I think everybody's on board. Who's not on board is gonna get on board. I mean, look at Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's pro-Trump, then she's criticizing Trump. He calls her a traitor. She resigns. Man, they're all full of shit. That's what I think. I don't have any faith in any of them. I think we'll all be a lot better off if we tune them out and just focus on what we need and only vote for candidates that address what we need. All these other little tricks they got going on, They got something called the Genesis Project. I got to look into it. Dusko, what's up, brother? How you doing? Good to see you. The Genesis Project is going to be the implementation of a whole, almost like Skynet from Terminator. Yo man. So the lawyer, a lawyer I spoke with in Detroit, his name is Ivan Land, right? Land. And he had a very interesting case. It was a case of a pregnant woman who was mistakenly arrested for carjacking. And the evidence against her was facial recognition. She was 8 months pregnant and was arrested for due to facial recognition. The computer made a mistake. They said it was 80% her. The picture was 8 years old or 7 years old, whatever it was. And she had got arrested for driving without a license before, and her picture was in the mug shot, in the book. I remember a long time ago, I asked a cop how my picture get in there. He told me it's called Rogues Gallery. I thought that was only in Dick Tracy. If you're old enough, you remember Rogues Gallery from Dick Tracy. When he told me that, it just clicked. But anyway, Ivan Land's client turned out not to be the carjacker, of course. And she was arrested because of facial recognition. This technology is not infallible. It really isn't. The short version of how I would fix healthcare. Hold on, let me go ahead. Justo first. Mamdani's going to be another Zelensky, correct. And unqualified, that's a good analogy, Justo. He has no skill set for nothing. Only the so-called elite are going to benefit from that 15-minute city nonsense. There goes that concentration of wealth I was telling you. And what people are really afraid of, so many people, they're afraid to rely on themselves. In fact, that's the last person they want to rely on. And man, when you get like that, you're gonna strike a deal with the government to do whatever. Now, fixing healthcare. Whoa. Let me see, where can I start, Justo? I think healthcare is functioning the way intended. I don't think the healthcare system exists to save lives. I think it exists to monetize sickness. And in that regard, it is doing just what it's supposed to do. In order to fix the healthcare system, you have to promote healthy lifestyles, healthy eating. It means just like you could regulate. I think Robert F. Kennedy, in some respects, has floated the idea of reducing certain ingredients in the foods we eat, certain ingredients in the vaccines that's administered. Because let's talk about all the other things that are very popularly accepted that cause sickness. Are we really trying to heal people, though, Peter? I don't think so. I don't think so. Obamacare, what did people have before Obamacare? Trump says he'd rather give people the money and let them pay for their own insurance. You know why? Because they're not going to buy insurance. They're going to spend the money. People are very predictable. Fixing the healthcare means fixing our lifestyle choices. It's that simple. I'm 61. I'm not on any prescription medication. and I got lots of energy. Some days not as much as others, but I invest in me. I watch my diet. I do eat junk food. I like French fries. I like pizza, but in moderation. I also make sure and exercise and do a lot of things that a lot of people don't. Lifestyle, Peter. That's how you fix the healthcare system. Dr. Oz said, he said, if you want to save money on healthcare, don't get sick. It sounded kind of harsh, but that's the truth right there. People don't have the discipline, man. They don't have financial discipline. They don't have sexual discipline. They don't have dietary discipline. They don't have any discipline. And there's nothing you can do to fix that. They have to fix that themselves. Yeah. I feel good that I don't have any kind of prescription medication. None whatsoever. Zero. I don't think Eric Adams would even have a chance if he was picked by Trump. That's cool. You could think that. The New York City liberals want revenge for the last presidential election. If I was Eric Adams' campaign manager, I knew he wasn't going to win because he chose that Asian dude as his campaign manager. And the Asian guy, wife, is a Mamdani supporter. There were so many signs that Eric was throwing the election. But if I was his campaign manager, I would have ran on him, on his blackness, big time. Yeah. I would have raised the whole Democratic Party. I would have made it clear that they only use lawfare against me because I'm a black man. I would have ran with it. I'd have played the race card like shit, man. It's war. And there might be some truth to it, but I wouldn't care if it was. By the time I finished painting the story, they would have believed it. Yeah. It would have been believable. Eric didn't fight. He could have rallied people in New York. He could have. He had a long history, borough president. They know him on the ground, man. Don't nobody know Mamdani from nowhere. From nowhere. Adams could have won. He wasn't trying to win. Instead, he went to Israel with a yarmulke on and kissed the Western Wall and said he came here to remind the Israelis that he was a good mayor to them. Yeah, that's what he did. So, what's up, Colton? How you doing, sir? Yep. You gotta take multiple vitamins. You gotta eat good, and also, what I learned, especially for me, is minimizing my intake with food. You know, that intermediate fasting works really good for me. You got to figure out what works for you. But I sleep better when I eat less. Yeah. Sleep through the whole night. What was the play with Adams and the Israelis? Dusko, the obvious play is he was, Cowtown, probably for some money, for a job, something. He got value. But then you could go to the esoteric thing, and he's a master mason. He became one in 2023. And Freemasonry is like a offshoot of Kabbalism or something like that. So who knows what he's trying to do over there. I don't know what the socialist fist is, Chris. Over here on YouTube, they're saying that Trump likes to throw up the socialist fist. I don't know what Trump does, man. Portion control works great, Glasgow. It really does. I feel like for me, anytime I start gaining weight, it's because I was just enjoying myself too much. It happens. I ain't perfect. I'm healthy, but I ain't perfect. It happens. Yeah, portion control, man, that it does really, really good for your digestive system, your blood pressure, your blood sugar, all that. All of that, man. And I'm out there hiking and everything. I haven't been, I'm doing more walking on hills and stuff than hiking ever since I messed my foot up. I've been kind of nervous about going back out there. Cheech, what's up, brother? And before we finish, I want to remind everybody that's listening, that's going to watch the broadcast, you got to download the ScoonTV app. We got really great documentaries, exclusive articles, exclusive documentaries. I don't post on YouTube anymore. I just do the live stream and run it on YouTube and Rumble and Twitch. And I think Asia said we're going to do Kick and Twitter next week. Yeah, because she used some platform called Restream or something like that. Yeah. Mumin, assalamu alaikum. Oh, I don't have any plans for Thanksgiving. I'm in the house, man. I might eat a little bit, yeah, but yeah, why is my hiking partner been saying, oh man, he said the Democrats are too nice. He's a diehard Democrat. Are you kidding me? He said the Democrats are too nice. He's talking about Trump and MAGA and the dismissal with James Comey and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Yo, he's anti-Trump like nobody business. He says Stephen Miller's going to jail and Hegseth's going to jail. That's what he tells me. Do I believe it? I don't think any of them go to jail. What's up, Carla? Assalamu alaikum. Look. Yeah, you too, brother. Yeah. I don't think any of those guys are going to jail. I don't. I really don't. I don't think anybody's going to jail. If Hunter Biden didn't go to jail, nobody's going to jail. I think it's all a game. Or you feel like your time was wasted tonight? Boo-hoo. The wise mind, a.k.a. Jason Whitlock. Here he goes. You didn't answer any of my Whitlock messages, but it's fine. Nah, man, I'm not interested in Whitlock. He's very interested in me, though. Coming here to steal my ideas. Man, figure out what you're going to talk about, Whitlock. Go get an education on your own. You got the app. Go watch my documentaries. Go promote it on your platform with Blaze. Big Bill Blast, what's up? Yeah, we got Jason Whitlock over here under a pseudonym trying to poach content. Nah, I don't think Cash and Trump will fall out. I think Trump is, if it suits him to get rid of Cash, he will. He demands loyalty, but I don't know who he really stands by like that, Where's Sidney Powell? Where's Ellen Wood? Where's the My Pillow guy? Where's Rudy Giuliani? All of those people fell on their sword for Trump, man. Like, he's cutting all these $1 trillion deals, man. They went to war for him. And their name is Dirt. You got the app as a flex. Oh yeah, Peter. Thank you. I think it's a flex. We've been around for 5 years. Well, 4 years. April 20th, 2021. And for it not to be my full time thing, I think we're doing good. I think we're doing good. We're growing. We're cultivating. To me, the live stream is my way of giving back to my hardcore supporters. You know, it's a few dozen. It ain't hundreds and thousands or none of that. But it's my way of giving back, man. Everybody's not going to get a subscription, but this is an opportunity to interact with me, other than on Twitter. You know, and it's live in real time. Thank you, Darnita. Let's look at Wise Mind, aka Jason Whitlock. I've criticized Whitlock. All you do is talk about yourself, Whitlock. Get out of here, man. You want to contribute? Contribute. The Carmelo Anthony situation was very telling of that. Whatever. News is dead is excellent, Darnita. Peace, Big Bill. Peace. Yeah, download the app, everybody. Check it out. Turn on your notifications. You can watch the recording of the live streams, past live streams. It's all archived there. All the documentaries, fascinating stuff. Articles, and I do my vlogs. If you feel up to it, you can commit to $9.99 a month, support the platform. Notice I don't even hardly talk about paid memberships. I'd appreciate it, but it just really ain't in my nature to ask for money, even when I'm exchanging and giving you something for it, you know? Oh, and that reminds me. I saw somebody today on Twitter named Torain Walker. And Torain, he said a lot of people owe Tariq Nasheed an apology. And I was surprised, man. Because Torain is one of those guys, he's trying to do his thing. He's a journalist, you know. But Tariq is an agent provocateur. Tariq has had a blue check before you could buy him. I've been suspended on Twitter 3 times already. Tariq hasn't been suspended at all. I lost my account for 3 years. And then got it back. Tariq has been inciting people to violence forever. He's a divisive force in the black community. He's turning black people against each other, talking about tether this and tether that and all of that. And the biggest traitors to black Americans are fellow black Americans. And if you watch my Boule documentary 1 and 2, it is clear what the problem is. And it ain't immigrants. Immigrants don't help. But let's go to the root of the problem. See, furthermore, when Tariq and Ados, what they do is they show up every presidential election because I believe they're getting paid from right-wing sources. In other words, you don't hear them talk about reparations no time unless it's a presidential election. Trump is a quote-unquote capitalist, and most of these people are Marxists. So they are Marxists who support a capitalist. Now, how oxymoronic can you get? It's all just one big contradiction. And to me, when I say FBA, I'm not talking about black Americans. When I say ADOS, I'm not talking about black Americans. I'm talking about an online cult, a cult that exists only online. I don't know anybody offline who refers to themselves as FBA or ADOS. In fact, most people offline who don't spend a lot of time on social media have no idea what any of that shit is. So it's just a made up club, right? It does nothing for anyone. Dr. Umar had exposed Tariq, and I know Umar's a grifter, I know all of that, but Umar was in one of his videos and he was shocked to see that Tariq's entire film production crew was white. I think his mother-in-law is Jewish or something like that. His wife is mixed. Look, I don't know, I don't care. But he's hustling. He's a former pimp. And he works people up, man. And at the end of the day, he's no different than Jay Morrison or Dr. Umar or any of them. It's just a bunch of pie in the sky. And the suckers line up and give them their coins. And even that's going to always exist. But what I can't stand for is how he turns people against each other. He has black people hating other black people. And that's the unforgivable part for me. Love part 2 of the Boule documentary. If I had one small critique, you know what? I didn't think about it because I sure put that in black, white, and blue. Yeah, that would have been a great addition. Yup. That would have been a great addition, William. Yeah, I used the Little Brother minstrel show with the rap thing, you know. But yeah, that would have been a great addition. That Newsweek cover with the rainbow halo. And I got that picture too. It's in my phone. That would have been a great, great addition. It is what it is. I really wanted to show how Jesse Jackson decided that black people would be called African American. And I tied it in with Nelson Mandela release in February of 1990. Yeah, was it 91? 90. Yeah, because it was December 1988 that Jesse Jackson told the reporters that, think about it. Black people have been called Negro, colored, Afro-American, black. And in 1988, Jesse Jackson decided, now we're African American. It had to come from someplace. And I think it came from up top. And when I say up top, I think a lot of these organizations and movements are tied into, they're like tentacles of that whole globalist apparatus, right? And I believe that it coincided with Mandela's release, for sure. You know, and it seems plausible. Because why else did Mandela tour America and black people who hadn't even heard of him prior to 1985 were excited because that African American hyphenation made a connection there that had not existed in their psyche prior to. In 1985, they had the boycott to Sun City. That's the first time I heard of Nelson Mandela. So they made a song, I'm not going to play Sun City. It's some kind of resort or something. 5 years later, he gets released from prison. It's all worked out in advance. All of it. Jackson was there to greet him when he got out. Why? Why? Who set that up? It's almost like Black Lives Matter going to Gaza to stand with the Palestinians. Why? It's the same forces at play. The names, places change, but the game remains the same. Yeah, when Nelson got the ticker tape parade in New York, David Dinkins was the mayor. David Dinkins is what? He was boule. Certified old school boule. When he ran for mayor, it was boule members that came and helped raise money for him, for his campaign. So you see the link between the boule, and they call the boule in America, but I believe in every country you have that 10%, that ruling elite among every demographic that control the crowd, man. That's their job. And I believe in South Africa, the billionaire president, Cyril Ramaphosa, he's part of their boule. That might not be what they're called, but that's how it functions. That's how it all goes, all the time. Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving to you too, Darnita, and happy Thanksgiving to everybody who showed up tonight. I appreciate you guys. Even you, Jason Whitlock. Just stop trolling me, man. You know my number. Just call me. Stop being a creep, Mr. Wise Mind. Yeah. All right, I think that's it for me, y'all. Y'all have a good night. Download the ScoonTv app. Check out the stuff. Share the content, please. You don't have to give me money if you don't want to. But please share the content on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn. Those articles are fire. The documentaries are fire. All right? Y'all have a good night.